Beijing, the capital of China, will host the 2022 Winter Olympic Games that will take place from the 4th to the 20th of February 2022. You might think that China wants international publicity and profits from holding the Games. However, China's expectations are very different and unique. And of course, since it's China, there are controversies and concerns. So keep watching till the end to learn about China's exact goals and expectations from the Winter Games and a whole lot more. Ready? Let's go! In July 2015, at the 128th International Olympics Committee session in Kuala Lumpur, Beijing, the capital of China, was selected to host the 2022 Winter Olympics, and the last of 3 consecutive Olympics in East Asia, after the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. This made Beijing become the first city to have ever hosted both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. Some of the venues originally constructed for the 2008 Summer Olympics will be used for the Winter Games, while the Beijing National Stadium will again host the opening and closing ceremonies. The estimated budget for the Games is about $4 billion, less than 1/10 of the $43 billion spent on the 2008 Summer Olympics. The reason the budget is so much smaller is that venues that were built in Beijing for the 2008 Summer Olympics have been repurposed. For example, the water cube for swimming is now the ice cube for curling. The Games will include a record 109 events over 15 disciplines in 7 sports. There will be 7 new medal events, including men's and women's big air freestyle, women's monobob, mixed team competitions in freestyle skiing aerials, ski jumping, and snowboard cross, and the mixed relay and short track speed skating. According to the Pre-Games Legacy Report of Beijing 2022, released by the Organizing Committee on June 23, 2021, benefits have been noted from the development of venues and infrastructure since early 2021. Some Winter Olympic facilities have been opened since May 2021. Infrastructure projects have resulted in improved sports and training venues, economic growth, urban development, and the construction of transportation networks. Han Zhirong, a vice president of the Beijing 2022 Organizing Committee, said, "The emphasis on long-term planning for post-Games operations has been our focus throughout the whole process, from bidding for the Games to now. With a focus on the planning, creation, and utilization of Winter Olympics legacies in 35 aspects across 7 areas, we are striving to leave valuable assets for the host and achieve a win-win situation between the Olympic movement and city development." As part of a national strategy to boost China's winter sports industry to a worth of $123 billion by 2022, China built 654 ice rinks and 803 ski resorts. China playing host to the 2022 Winter Olympics has given winter sports a boost in the world's largest economy. The number of visitors to China's ski resorts has tripled from 5.5 million in 2009 to nearly 18 million in 2018. As for the expected long-term benefits, well, China is not in it for the profits. Chinese President Xi Jinping set a goal in 2015 to create a new tourism industry within the country. He said it will inspire over 300 million Chinese to participate in winter sports if we win, which will contribute greatly to the development of the international Olympic cause. Indeed, the build-up to the Olympics has brought high-speed train lines that will carry athletes to new ski resorts outside Beijing. For the next few decades, those same train lines will be shuttling Chinese tourists to the mountains. Even before China won the bid, it had a plan to create domestic leisure and tourism sectors and build a city-to-mountains transport system. So far, China allocated more than $9 billion for a high-speed rail linking Beijing to nearby ski resorts in Zhangjiakou and Yangqing, where ski slopes have been carved out of mountains. The Beijing Olympics organizing committees are expected to generate billions of dollars of income from domestic and international sponsor deals they already negotiated. The most important number the Chinese government aimed to achieve from the 2022 Winter Olympics has officially been reached. The National Bureau of Statistics announced this month that the target of engaging 300 million Chinese citizens in winter sports had been hit. The International Olympics Committee, which is a non-profit international civic organization that generates income mainly from broadcasters around the world and from sponsors who get exclusive global rights, has given $880 million toward Beijing organizers' costs. You are probably wondering, how do you hold the Olympics while COVID-19 is still around and without spectators? Well, China has a very strict zero-tolerance policy when it comes to COVID-19. It has already announced elaborate precautions to protect against the coronavirus reaching its own population or participants in the Winter Games, and to ensure those two groups have almost no contact with one another. It created a very strict set of measures, rules, and maps called the closed loop. There will be no international spectators at the Winter Olympics except for a limited number of Chinese residents. They will be allowed to clap but not shout in support of athletes. As for workers such as waiters, cleaners, and other support staff, they will not be allowed to leave the Olympic venues, even to visit their families. And any Olympic participants leaving the vicinity of clearly defined areas will be required to spend at least 1 week in quarantine, followed by at least 2 weeks of isolation at home. So if you are a participating athlete or member of the international media, do yourself a favor and try not to get lost or even visit famous tourist sites in the city. We must never go outside the closed loop, let alone reach the city level. This is our bottom line, said Huang Chun, Deputy Director of the Olympic Organizing Committee's Office of Epidemic Prevention and Control. It is China. Hence, you can bank that there are automatic concerns because China is still a one-party closed system. It is also in a very heated competition with the USA for the world's #1 economic and military superpower. China and the USA combined produce more than half of the global CO2, methane, and other polluting gases emissions, whilst they are not investing nearly enough to tackle climate change. China is holding the games in Beijing, where it rarely snows. The mountains nearby also have no snow. It is using massive amounts of water to cover these mountains with artificial snow for the Winter Olympics, which is a process that consumes massive amounts of energy. Hence, it has been deemed as a not green Olympics. Some countries announced a diplomatic boycott of the Games. Still, their teams will compete. These countries are Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Estonia, Great Britain, Kosovo, Lithuania, Taiwan, and the United States of America. These nations, along with the United Nations and a massive consortium of human rights groups, cite human rights abuses in Tibet, China's actions during the Hong Kong protests, its threats to annex Taiwan, the unwarranted claims in the South China Sea, and the still ongoing serious human rights abuses, collective punishment, and possible war crimes against its nearly 50 million Uyghur Muslims. However, none of the boycotters supports a full boycott. Instead, they want athletes to use the Games as a chance to raise awareness about these serious issues. In recent years, censorship has been significantly stepped up within China. The government has banned, for example, Facebook, Twitter, Wikipedia, and Instagram. In January 2022, the Beijing Organizing Committee warned that any behavior or speech that is against the Olympic spirit, especially against Chinese laws and regulations, are also subject to certain punishment. China may not be aiming to achieve greatness and immediate economic benefits from the Winter Olympic Games. However, the nation as a whole, and the greater Beijing area in particular, achieved great milestones and innovation in the areas of transportation and infrastructure, urban renewal, high technology, and tourism before and after, and most importantly due to, the Summer Olympic Games in 2008. This history is already being repeated, and China is achieving a lot more this time. As for the concerns and controversies, any educated, non-biased expert would tell you that the Winter Olympic Games will help the world and China work together to resolve such issues once and for all. They would also tell you that some of the countries that are involved in the diplomatic boycott have a much worse recent history in terms of human rights abuses. But the difference is that they have done and still do it in other nations in which they intervene for geopolitical, natural resources, and economic reasons. Would you like to learn more about what influences the world economies and global financial flows? Click on one of the videos that showed up on the left or go to our channel to find other interesting topics.